Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you here at the right time. I know in the past, when we have our daylight savings time come, it had been more of a challenge, because everybody had to turn their clocks. In fact, we were surprised the clock today is right. Somebody did that. But now, it's not so hard anymore because most of us have our cell phones and they just automatically tell us changing the time of what it is. Although this morning it was interesting as I was sitting in my chair, the clock was behind me, and so I have a little OK Google thing on my table, and I say, OK Google, what time is it? And she said the time this morning, and then she said daylight savings time. So she was clarifying that we were in that time. So we are marching through March with our Untethered Soul book, Michael Singer's. And I want to give you a little brief background of him that I found on the CD that we played earlier today, of all those songs that he wrote. And we'll be hearing more of them as we come throughout the month. But it said, Michael A. Singer is the author of the #1 New York Times bestseller, The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself. In 1971, while pursuing his doctoral work in economics, he experienced a deep inner awakening and went into seclusion to focus on yoga and meditation. In 1975, he founded Temple of the Universe, a yoga and meditation center where people of any religion or set of beliefs can come together to experience inner peace. Through the years, Singer has made major contributions in the areas of business, the arts, education, healthcare, and environmental protection. And I highly suggest, if you want to know more about the specifics on his life, go ahead and pick up the other book that he has written called The Surrender Experiment. It's basically an autobiography of what happened, the events that happened in his life and how he responded to them. And it's amazing how he learned just to surrender to what is. And so today we're going through the section in the book that is called Experiencing Energy. And just to give a little review of what we talked about last Sunday, in the fact that we are spiritual beings. That's what we are at our core essence. And we have a mind and we have emotions in this human drama that we're playing. And everything is made of energy. The human part of us has a couple different sides to it. We have that core essence, that energy, that soul, that we call the observer, the witness, the subject. And then all the other things that happen in our lives are the objects that come and go. Those things change. But we, the internal core part of us, is that spirit that is changeless. And so our true self is this love, unconditional love. And we say that all the time. And we each of us have our own way of expressing it. That's what's so unique about us. All of us are individualized. But this energy that we are, this love, wants to be expressed. It wants to flow. It does not want to be dammed up or stopped or blocked. And we, as our dramas play out in life, we have a tendency to block the energy because we go into a sort of protection mode. Something comes up in our experience, an object out there, right, a condition that we don't like, that we're passing judgment on. And our psyche responds by shutting down, by closing up. And that's the last thing that this energy needs and wants to have happen, because this energy wants to flow. It wants to move. That is extremely important, that it move and it not be blocked. And so how do we block it? We block it by closing down our heart. We ignore, we try to stuff it and go on to something else. And that's exactly what we should not be doing, because when we block it, then it festers. It gets more comfortable. It's interesting because we get into the habit of blocking it, and we get comfortable with that because we've been used to doing it. And so really, when we go into that protection mode, we're actually giving ourselves time in prison. We're putting bars in front of us to stop the flow of this infinite being that we are, that wants to flow, that wants to move, that wants to live freely. And so Michael Singer says one of the first things we need to do as we notice that our energy is tightening, somehow or another there's a little shift that happens. Somebody says something, whatever, and you just have this little immediate reaction, and you have a feeling of tightening. So then notice that that's happening, just watch it, and then be able to release, breathe, and just let it go. Then we're in our book study, when we talk about the song, let it go, let it go. All of us who have little ones around the house, that song, it drives you nuts after a while. But it's actually very helpful to just let it go. We don't have to immediately try to protect ourselves from something that we question, something that we think gives us pain. He said, the reward for not protecting your psyche is liberation. You are free to walk through the world without a problem on your mind. You are just having fun experiencing whatever happens next. How freeing does that feel? Spiritual growth is about the point at which you start to feel your energy change. For instance, someone says something to you and you start to feel the energy get a little strange inside. You actually start to feel a tightening. That is your clue. That is time. That is the time to grow. That is your clue. That is the time to grow. When we have that little tightening, when we feel that little angst, recognize it that, oh, this is an opportunity for growth. This is an opportunity to let myself grow spiritually, grow in maturity, let go of the old and move into something new. How does that sound? I mean, really, when you think about it, we are all equipped to let ourselves be untethered. That's what the whole thing is about, the untethered soul, to let us just be free, and it's a gift to grow. We are an infinite being. It must grow. It has to allow itself to express more and more and more. Right. When that pain and that tightening first comes up, it hurts. We have this thing in our psyche that says, oh, ouch. And yet, he says, if we recognize it and let it hurt for just a moment, it'll go. We don't have to hang on to it. I remember when we were in our group, somebody said, oh, it's kind of like growing pains. When I was little, and I had a twang or something hurt in my body or whatever, my mother would just say, oh, it's just a growing pain. That's natural. That's normal. You'll get over it. And someone else in our group said, no pain, no gain. So when we recognize that we have this little stifling that comes up, it's okay. Don't stuff it. Acknowledge it. Know that it's there, and then let it flow. And let it go, and go on to the next thing that's happening. What it reminds me of is many other authors that have talked about, have written about living in the moment, living in the now. Eckhart Tolle, Byron Katie, all these things of just being in the moment, because that's where life is happening. He talked about, an example he gave was, you're walking down the street and you see somebody you know, and you say, hello, and for whatever reason, they don't respond to you. And your mind starts all of a sudden playing these little tricks, doing these little scenarios of why they didn't say hello to me. And it can go from here to there to there to there, and it goes in deeper layers. that we can generate this whole story of why this person didn't say hello to us. And really, does it matter? In the whole scheme of life and what life is all about, does it really matter that that person did not say hello to us? Let it go. Get over it. And yet and I'm saying we, so I'm not, immune to this. We have a tendency to expect people and conditions to be the way that we want them to be. And guess what? Life isn't going to happen like that. And so we have this inner judge, this inner critic. And, well, you did it wrong, and of course I'm right. My mother used to say, just get off your high horse. Because that's what we're doing. We're expecting life to be the way we want it to, and it's going to be whatever it is, and to let it be that. As we were in our other book study, Joel Goldsmith, one of the biblical phrases that he brings up time and time again is that before they call, I will answer. So we don't even have to consciously call, and the infinite spirit within us is ready to give us what we have need of. And I had an amazing example of this happen to me this last week. I was in Walmart. I went there to get some netting to go around my tomato plants so the bunnies won't eat it. And they didn't have the netting, but the fellow said, oh, well, you should try to see if you can find something in the fabric section. There may be something there for you. And I had to go right by the fabric section, so I thought, okay, fine, I'll stop in here. And I'm standing there looking at different reams of fabric, and I saw this one that was a burlap. And I thought, oh, now that could work. And I'm trying to look at the end of it to see how much it costs, and I can't find the price on it. And I'm standing there, and they have these announcements that go over the loudspeaker, this and that. And this one announcement said, help is wanted at the fabric cutting table. And I looked around, and there's a fabric cutting table right next to me. Nobody's there. Nobody's waiting to get served. And nobody's around either to help someone. But I thought, well, that's odd. I wonder why they said help is wanted at the fabric cutting table, because there's nobody there. And I hadn't decided if I was going to get anything or not either, because I would want to know what the price was. And so I thought, well, okay, well, I'll take it down and I'll walk over here. And they had one of those little bells, the little ding thing. So they had a little ding bell, and I dinged it, and I thought, oh, good, what good does that do? But I had remembered, well, they had already announced it. Maybe somebody was coming. And so sure enough, this guy showed up, and oh my, he had the name badge that said team leader. And he had a walkie-talkie with him. And he was just Mr. going a mile a minute in 5 different directions. And he was talking to somebody on the walkie-talkie about trying to get keys over to electronics and this and that. But dispersed in that, I asked him what the price. He told me the price. I go, oh, okay, well, that's good. I'm trying to figure out how much to get. So I said 4 yards, and they have a thing on the table. You just unroll it, and then you cut it. Very simple. And so he was talking to all these different people, and he was doing his job. And so I thought, well, I'm going to invite some levity here. So I said to him, do you sew very much? And he goes, what? And I said, do you sew very much? It took me 3 times. I took the mask down. I said, do you sew very much? And I could tell he still had no clue what I was talking about. And so finally he just said, oh, yes. Like, he placated me, And then I got to thinking, oh, I should ask him, well, what is it that you like to sew? And I thought, no, Gay, just let it go. He's harried enough. You don't need to add to it. But the thing of it is that life is giving us what we need at every moment. And the issue is to be open to it. To be willing to have it change up a bit. Before they call, I will answer. What if we lived life with that expectancy? That whatever I have need of, even if I didn't know, I didn't know if I was going to get this material or not, I needed somebody to cut it. There are steps that are occurring in this progression of life unbeknownst to us. So why is it up to us to judge that when this situation happens, it's bad, it's wrong, it's not right? There is something greater on the other side of it, in my estimation. Nothing is worth closing down over. Remember that. Be aware. Whenever you feel that little bit of tightening, that it's okay to bring that pain up momentarily, acknowledge it, and then let it go. Let life happen. There's no need to fight it. And so as I was on this topic, I'm thinking about the fact of how can we stay centered? That's really what it's about. How can we stay balanced when life throws us curves? How can we be willing to just go with the flow of it? It takes trust, it takes faith, it takes determination that there is something within me that is leading me and guiding me and giving me exactly what I have need of. And I can let go of all of the expectations that my psyche, my ego, this lower self is giving me, so that I'm willing to grow into this infinite being that I am, and allow the energy that is always here to flow, to let it be released, to let it give out what it wants to give out. And Lord knows what we'll get back when we do that. So I kept thinking about this song, and I know you all know it, so if you want to join with me, I think it would be great. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary calls to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Just let it be. Namaste.